Alright, hey guys, and welcome back to another video. So I wanted to do some really quick early impressions of the Switch 2. This is after one night of playing it, but I know a lot of you are probably curious about what I think about the Switch 2. I did secure one. I pre-ordered through Walmart.com. Got here at 6:30 in the morning, and I picked up a few games with it as well. I played a little bit more than just Mario Kart, so I'm going to give you guys my impressions on the console itself. What are my impressions on how it feels, the interface, going through the eShop, and just kind of what I think of it. And then I'm also going to talk about some of the games that I played and give you some of my brief impressions on that, especially for any of you that may be on the fence or looking to pick up some games besides just Mario Kart World. So the first thing that really stood out to me was it felt like quality. This thing coming out of the box feels a lot better with the matte finish and everything. It is pretty hefty. It's a little heavy, but it feels like a premium upgrade from the original Switch, especially if you're going from the original model. And the thing that really shocked me was the Joy-Cons, right? So like there's a little switch back here, and I really liked the feeling of this. I know this looks very standard, like, oh, you're just popping it off, but the magnetism of this thing when you're just able to, you can even attach them backwards if you want to. Front ways, back ways, and it feels really good. They give a little bit of rumble actually when you detach them, so it just kind of has this like really, I don't want to say futuristic feeling, but it has a very premium feel to it when dealing with the Joy-Cons. And I'm not really much of a Joy-Con user on the Switch 1. I played it mostly docked and I use the Pro controller a lot, so keep that in mind. But they do feel really good. I have no experience with drift with them at all, but apparently Nintendo is offering to repair them free of charge, I think, if you happen to get some with drift. But I will say that the console feels great, and I did want to make sure that I played this in handheld mode a bit before making this video, so I did that this morning. I played some Mario Kart World, and it looks fantastic. I really didn't play the OLED in handheld mode much, but you know, it is a big upgrade, I will say, from going from the original base model. The screen looks fantastic, and it is a big display. So I think a lot of you will be very happy with how this thing looks in handheld mode, as am I. So how is the interface on the Switch itself? I, of course, scrolled through the eShop. It was a little disappointing at first because there was some lag when scrolling through the main menu on the left-hand side. If you scroll through that quickly, it does hang up a little bit. But going into the eShop itself and scrolling through dozens and dozens of games really quickly, it does go smoothly. There's no hitching, there's no problems. I didn't get kicked out like I usually did in the old eShop on the Switch, and it seemed really smooth. And I particularly really liked how the videos just instantly load up and preview a game for you as well before you click into the game on the eShop. I am extremely disappointed though in Nintendo for skipping eShop music once again. That was one of my most excited and anticipated things that they might do, and they still skipped it. Nintendo, I really feel like eShop music helps you sell more games. I don't know why they're opting to go for this new silent approach. But anyway, outside of the Switch console, I am very happy with it in terms of what I've experienced so far. So how about the games? So far, I have played 4 games, starting with Mario Kart World. We'll get that one out of the way. I will say that Mario Kart World is a great game. I'm not going to say that it's blowing my mind 10 out of 10 game of the year material, but I will say that it is really nice to finally play a Mario Kart game in 4K, 60 frames a second, with just some really nice quality visuals. I've waited so long to finally start playing first-party Nintendo games that are not running like rubbish or like under 30 frames a second. Not all their games run like that, but it's just really nice to finally play Mario games that look really good. And I will say that the one thing I was anticipating the most with Mario Kart World actually ended up being one of my least favorite features when I finally sat down and played the game, and that is the 24 players online. I will say that it is a lot more chaotic and hectic than I was hoping it would be. It's just a little too much, I think. I think scaling it back to 16 players, or heck, let's even go old school and bring in a mode that allows us to play 8 players online. Just, normal matches, random matchmaking, not having to play against friends. I think there's something to be said about the simplicity of a kart racer where there's just not always items flying everywhere. Whereas these 24-player matches can get really, really hectic to a detriment to the game. And it's a little sad to say that because I was really looking forward to it. But I will say my favorite mode that I was anticipating playing, knockout mode. That's the one where you start with 24 players and it knocks you down the further you go. I won a few of those matches, and I will say that is by far the best mode to play because it's just continuous races. You go from one course to the next. There's no pausing in between. It feels really good. And the further and further you make it, it knocks out players. So eventually you're down to 8 players and 4 players and then the winner. So if you're looking for a little less chaos, that's probably the mode to go with. I was pretty happy with that. I think that will be what keeps me going in the online versus version of this game. I did play the battle mode a little bit, but I was a little disappointed that they added in a coin mode, or it's not just balloons, or you can't choose to just play the balloon mode, because I really am not a fan of the coin mode. But those of you that are really into hectic battles, I think you'll like it. In terms of the music and everything, it sounds great. And of course, the big elephant in the room here is the big inclusion that they've done, which is rail grinding and wall riding. This is going to make the skill ceiling in this game incredibly high, and the really good players are going to just start blowing the more casual players out of the water. So I think it's really important that you start learning how to rail grind and wall grind. Maybe do some time trials to help you learn it. Watch some ghost replays, because man, not only is it really cool to look at and fun to do, but it just brings the game to a whole nother level. If you're not rail grinding and wall riding as much as you can, you're playing the game in a completely different way. I got to practice up on that myself, which is why I think I'm going to be practicing a lot of the time trial stuff going forward, because man, I love time trial. I love the competitive nature of it, and the people in Mario Kart are no joke. It's really competitive in the time trials in this game, but I look forward to at least trying to get competitive times that are something I could be proud of. So the open worlds, I guess that's the other elephant in the room. I think a lot of people thought that's what I was going to address. But the open world mode, I did dabble around in it a little bit. And I will say it's a nice supplement to the online multiplayer. I wouldn't say that the free roam mode is going to be my favorite thing in the game. It's nice to have. It's really cool to just ride around and discover things and just have fun finding the P blocks and finding items and coins and everything. And it does look really good. But I think it's something that I'll kind of just play around in, a little bit of a sandbox mode, and maybe in the future I'll play around with a bit more. But I think right now my focus is going to be on the online multiplayer and the time trial stuff. The free roam, I think a lot of people are really having fun with that. But for me, it's kind of just like, it's an extra little mode. It's supplemental. It's not really the main mode for me. So overall, I'm really enjoying Mario Kart World. While it is very chaotic and hectic to a downfall sometimes, it is still a ton of fun, and it looks great. So for me right now, it's like a very solid 8.5 out of 10 from what I've played. Maybe the longer I play it, that number may be adjusted, but I don't want to sit here and say that it's like the best kart racer I've ever played, because it isn't. But it's a really, really good kart racer, and for those of you that are huge Mario Kart fans, it's definitely a good reason to try and get a Switch 2 whenever you're able to get one. So moving on, let's talk about the Switch 2 Welcome Tour, also known as the paid tutorial, as a lot of people refer to it, as do I. So what's my thoughts on this game? I did play a little bit of it, maybe a half an hour, 45 minutes or so, just to kind of like get my toes wet on the game for the launch day. And I will say that it is worth the money that you pay for it. Now, it is weird. This is one of the strangest games I've ever played, because it really is a tutorial in a video game form. What do I mean by this? I mean, it literally explains to you how to use your Switch 2 and all the functionalities and like what button is what. It really feels like something that should have been included with the console. But for $10, you actually do get a lot of really fun mini games, and I think a lot of people will get a lot of mileage out of this. Now, I'm only so far into it because I was streaming it, and if you wanted to see my Switch 2 stream, you just go to my live stream tab after watching this video, and it's archived on YouTube over 5 hours. You can watch me play all the games I'm talking about today and my first impressions of playing the Switch 2. But while I was streaming this game, it uses a lot of functionality of like undocking your Switch, also known as you can't see what I'm doing on the stream. So there's a lot of handheld stuff. There's a lot of stuff with like the gyroscope, the rumble, and all these things that don't really translate well to a video setting. Like even if you watch the stream, it's going to be kind of weird. But from a tech demo standpoint, it's pretty neat. However, if you don't have a 4K TV and you don't have all the accessories like the camera and everything, it's going to be a little odd, because you can't actually 100% finish the game, because a lot of the mini games make use of those accessories. Or I shouldn't say a lot, I'm assuming, but a few of them do. So if you're a completionist and you don't have everything for the Switch 2, you're actually not going to be able to finish this game. But it's a really different kind of game. It definitely has that Nintendo feel to it. You can tell that this is a Nintendo game. It's got a squeaky clean look to it, and the minigames are actually pretty fun. And this is the thing that actually introduced me to using the mouse controls. So let me pop one of these off my Switch real quick. I did not know, for example, that if you needed a makeshift thing to use the mouse on. You can use it on any surface, like my arm here. And if you tilt it left and right, it actually detects this. You don't have to put it on a table. You don't have to put it on a mouse pad. You can put it on your lap. And this is something I was not accounting for. I was actually not super aware about this because I was avoiding a lot of like Switch 2 spoilers after a certain point. Maybe I didn't look into it too deeply, but that was very impressive. It's apparently just a little tiny camera down here that takes imaging of the surface and it can tell like how you're tilting it and how fast you're moving it. It's actually really neat. And I learned that through the welcome tour. They give you a little demonstration. So that was kind of cool. So if you pick up a Switch 2, is it worth buying welcome tour? I would say 100% yes. I think for the money, even though, once again, it really feels like something that should have been included with the system, but this is, I guess, new school Nintendo. They want to nickel and dime you for everything. I still recommend it. As weird as this game is, it was definitely worth $10 to kind of play around in. All right, so one of the other launch games that I played that also had something that disappointed me as well, but I was very, very impressed by it, is a game called Fast Fusion. Now, this developer is known for many games, but one of my favorite series actually Iridion on the Game Boy Advance, if any of you have heard that, but they have been known for making the Fast series on Nintendo consoles. They tend to launch them on the Wii U, the Switch. I never really got into them too much in the past, but I will tell you, this one feels really, really good. It's actually one of the best feeling racing games I've played. The controls feel silky smooth for the speed that you're going at, the turning, the drifting. But the thing that really got me and pulled me in is the fact that you're able to jump and boost. It's one of my favorite mechanics in racing games. And the fact that this game has it, and it feels super good to do this, to do shortcuts and tracks, and you can fall off tracks. You can jump and, miscalculate your jump and just wreck. It feels awesome. The music is amazing in this game. The sense of speed is great, and the track variety also seems to be, so far from what I played, amazing. But I actually thought online multiplayer was included in the game, and it's not, unfortunately. So that was very disappointing. I went into it thinking there was multiplayer. There isn't, from what I can see. There's just single player stuff and time trial, which, hey, I'll get my money's worth. I'll definitely play around in some time trials and have some fun with that. But for $15, okay, so this game price point is actually incredible. $15, you're getting a lot of value here. As long as you're going in knowing that a game like this, that looks like it should have online multiplayer, does not have online multiplayer. And as far as I can tell, there's also no online leaderboards for time trials or anything. But as a nice old school feeling, sort of like, hey, here's some time trials, here's a Grand Prix, here's like some local co-op you can do. The game share feature does exist for this. For $15, this is a must buy if you picked up a Switch 2. I know a lot of you are busy with Mario Kart right now, but don't ignore Fast Fusion. It's definitely worth your attention. And the last game that I played so far, I do have the new Rune Factory game coming to me as well, but it's not here yet. So eventually I'll be able to give you some impressions on that. But I also did pick up, not a lot of people probably picked this up on day one, but I did buy Arcade Archives 2 Ridge Racer. This is the arcade version of Ridge Racer. It's the first time I'm playing the actual arcade version of Ridge Racer and not the PS1 port. Don't get me wrong, the PS1 port is really good, but this arcade version that they've released on multiple platforms, but I did buy it on the Switch too. And I think the leaderboards are actually tied per console. I really enjoyed it. I started getting addicted to it. My competitive nature comes out in these games with these online leaderboards. I see that leaderboard, I know I can keep improving, and I just keep pushing myself to go further and further. So I did a lot of time trial stuff with the online rankings, and after about 45 minutes or so, maybe an hour at the most, I was number 21 on the leaderboard when I ended my stream last night, and I felt really good about that. I was actually only a couple of seconds away from the top time on the Switch version. So I had a ton of fun with it. Ridge Racer is a classic. The funny thing about Ridge Racer, though, is, for those that don't know, you go faster the less that you drift. So like you want to drift, but you want to do very subtle drifts to the point where you can't even tell that you're drifting, which is a technique that I don't know how to do yet. I'm still trying to learn. But if you want super duper top times, like world record kind of stuff, you got to learn this technique. But even if you're going into it without knowing that technique, it's still a ton of fun. It's such a min-maxing game because you really are just like racing on the same few tracks over and over with the slight variance. And the music in Ridge Racer is classic. It runs at a silky smooth frame rate. It looks good. It feels good. So for those of you that are on the fence, just know that Ridge Racer's out in arcade form, and you can get it on the Switch too. They do charge you $18 though, I think. They charge you or $17. They charge you a little bit extra for buying the Switch 2 version. If you buy the Switch version, it's a little cheaper. So price point, I think the value is there if you're into high score chasing and leaderboards. Maybe you can take down my time. Check the leaderboards. You'll see my name there. See if you can beat my time. But anyway, guys, I will end the video there. I don't want it to go on too long. I hope that this helps some of you that were maybe on the fence with what games to pick up, maybe even picking up a Switch 2. I think the question that a lot of you want answered is it worth it? And I will say, I think if you're asking yourself, is it worth it to buy a Switch 2 right now? I think you're better off waiting. The people that can't control themselves and they have to have it, they got to play Mario Kart World, or they got to play like Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, which, by the way, I will get around to playing older Switch games, but not quite yet. Down the line soon. I plan on playing Pokemon Scarlet at least and see how the performance is on that. I hear it's supposed to be amazing, maybe some Breath of the Wild. But I think if you're asking yourself, is it worth it to get a Switch 2 right now? I think you can wait. Wait until at least Donkey Kong's out. Wait a few months down the line. Wait a year down the line. Wait until there's enough games out that you feel confident that now is the time that you need the Switch 2. Because in reality, you are kind of buying this thing for Mario Kart at the moment, unless you really want to play some backwards compatible games on the handheld with the Switch 2. So, thanks guys for watching, and I'll see you all in the next video.